Welcome to True House Stories. I am Lenny Fontana, coming out of New York City, the home of skyscrapers. Oh God, and the home of COVID, and the home of everything right now. Hopefully soon will be over. But on a brighter note, the home of some great moments in disco. And we had Studio 54, Paradise Garage, and all these great clubs. And of course, we shift our energies over to the United Kingdom, to London, to speak to a wonderful record producer, DJ, who is so accomplished. People have tried to copy his style as part of the Junior Boy's own, club of guys. Incredible DJ, incredible producer. One of our favorite records of all time is that damn Black Science Orchestra that rocked us every time on the dance floor. We have played, oh my God, when he took that part, Wherever You, ooh, man, he turned it out. But let me tell you, he's got a big story, okay? And he's going to tell it to you. So first I want to introduce, let me bring him up, Mr. Beedle.
Hello, Lenny.
Okay, welcome to True House Stories, and thank you for doing it. Of course, want to make sure you're okay. I know you guys everybody's been on a complete and unadulterated lockdown.
Yeah, total lockdown.
Tell us what's that like. Because American people are watching this too. We've still had kind of our freedom. We only had that 90-day lockdown between March of last year till about end of May. But then, as you all watch the news reports, everything got crazy over the United States. Numbers had gotten out of control. But how's it been for you all?
Well, it's been an ordeal. I mean, in the sense that in one way, we haven't been able to integrate and hang out and, be with friends. But in another way, we've been allowed to develop our craft indoors, i.e., with the music and learning about stuff. And it's been a creative house arrest is the best description.
Force majeure, as they say. You have to work.
Force majeure, exactly.
Force majeure, right? So, nature clause is that one, right? Okay.
But from being indoors, I've been really, really busy with Joe, with my other partner Darren Morris, with the North Street West Productions and the Ramrock Records labels, and also the F-Star Clear record labels, which is the house label. And then, lo and behold, as well, a couple of months ago, saw the resurgence and the curtains fell apart, and we have the Black Science Orchestra, which is myself. I know. Yeah. Yeah, which is myself, Rob, right. Mello, and Barry Morris.
We'll chat a little bit, because that's going to take us away from the track of the story.
Yes,
we're going to got to get to. Let's work to that direction. But you're healthy, thank God. Both of you are still pounding the pavement inside your house. You do.
We pop out to the shops now and again.
like groundhog. Look outside, is it clear? Run to the shop, run back in, put the packages away. Okay.
That's it.
Everybody wants to know always how we start. Same way, same channel, same time, except each story changes because the person driving the car is their story. And this is what makes this show what this show is, becoming a documentary type of institutionalized type of show. It's crazy. It's something that I just did, just for people to watch and talk, like having a phone call with friends has become where we're actually, they're listening to everything we're talking about and learning. People are writing fan mail. They're learning stuff. Okay. So Ashley, how does music find the young Ashley, from Yeet, that he was before he was Ashley Beedle, the DJ and all that?
I think you could describe me when I was young. If I was looking at myself, I was inquisitive, and basically my my father, God bless him, he's not here anymore, but it was from my father's record collection. And without that record collection, let's just say that I wouldn't be here today, you know, because it was a vast library of God knows what. You know, I always say to people, oh, it's like, if you can imagine listening to Bach to Big Youth, that was kind of where my record collection with my dad was, you know, and still is in my head, you know, it's still there. And it's kind of the way I look at records is exactly the same. The way I look at music, I can't really sit there and go, oh, this is genre specific. You do to a certain degree, but to me, it's that thing. It's good music. It's bad music. End of story. You know, whether it's old, whether it's new, it doesn't really matter. So for me, the joy of growing up with my father and my mum, you know, was listening to a completely wide array of music, you know, be it rock, soul, jazz, reggae, everything, you know, it was wonderful.
So we're talking about at the time when this record collection was beginning for you. Let's hear some of these tracks that you remember from that time. What would be some of the ones that are standouts that you were collecting?
Wow, I think. Well, the one big track that I've always kind of remembered was it was by Alton Eddy, who was a fantastic, legendary reggae singer. But he put out a record called Alton and Eddy, and it was on the Blue Beat record label, which is the British sort of ska label. And the track was called Murial. And that lives with me till now. It's a beautiful ballad. Absolutely beautiful ballad. Yeah. And, you know, and I used to see my mum and dad dancing to it. Wow. At the house parties. And, you know, it's just, you know, and it's stuck with me ever since. It's such a beautiful record. It really is.
So now I'm hearing this ethnicity of reggae. I'm going to guess that you have Jamaican.
No, actually, no. My father was he was English, and he was brought up in an area called Abbots Langley in Hertfordshire, which is just outside of London. And my mum came over to the UK in 1960, and she was from Barbados.
Oh, okay, Barbadian English.
Yeah. Oh, she is from Barbados, yeah.
Classic.
So Barbados, yeah.
Mr. Beedle, very classic.
Yeah, and they had it's very interesting that my mother and father, when they met, my dad was working in the local hospital near where he lived called Leavesden Hospital. And my mum flew in from Barbados and literally went straight to the hospital to work as a nurse at a very young age. I think she was 19. And my mum and dad met. And lo and behold, I appeared a year later.
By magic.
So 1962. I was born in 1962.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible wedding because for its time, from a social point of view, it was quite rare to see a black woman marrying a white guy, you know? So I think the newspapers came down to cover the wedding because they were like, wow, what's going on here? So the national newspapers came down to cover come and see the wedding.
Let me, I can say this to you, that's comparing to America. The racial issue here was still very strong, the apartheid.
Yeah.
Down below in the South, they had colored bathrooms separated from white bathrooms. Water fountains were separated. England, I mean, look at it like this. You've all were able to accept, for example, let's talk about rock, Jimi Hendrix, okay? Jimi Hendrix was revered in England first before it ever happened in America.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so, I know there's a class system in England. We're all aware of this, especially when you've traveled so much to England, you start to grasp it. But I noticed when I first went to England, bro, black and white relationships were more prevalent than they were here in America. And in New York, no matter. In fact, I was like this. Wow. Impressed. Because I have multiracial friends. I mean, I'm half Spanish. So I can understand that, you know, it's here, even in New York, neighbors were sectioned off.
Yes.
And to see that in England, it was like, yo, wow. If everybody's getting along, and the let's put it like this, the education level, we noticed. This was the difference I really noticed in America. A lot of my black friends from England were very well educated. Very well educated. My friends here, some of them are very well educated. Some were street guys. Doesn't make them bad guys. It's just that you noticed that. I just noticed the difference. Like if I was talking to one on the phone, a friend of mine, I wouldn't have even known if he was white or black because he spoke properly. Didn't make any difference. So good on your parents. That was a bold.
Yeah. Well, it's funny actually because growing up in the UK, you know, as much as what you just said, that's there's a lot of truth in that. But there were what we would call black areas, i.e., like Brixton,
right,
and Harlesden, you know, places like that where there was predominantly more of a black community. Notting Hill. So, you know, you did experience racism over in the UK, but probably not to the extent maybe that what you had in America, which was basically apartheid. But the weird thing was, you know, when my mum left Barbados, at the time she left, very much so, there was a very strict order, I think, in the way people were, that there was a white hierarchy that were kind of running the island, you know. And when I was born, not long after, we went back to Barbados to live. And it was a very strange experience for my father because he couldn't get any work in Barbados because the idea was, you know, they were going to go back and live there forever. But he couldn't get any work in Barbados because basically he was married to a black woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he couldn't take my mum into certain bars, even though Barbados was a black country. He couldn't take my mum into certain bars because she was black.
So that was still, they were frowned upon, basically.
Yeah. So, and Barbados didn't really get
Barbados, bro. That's predominantly black.
Yeah. Beautiful. And Barbados didn't get its independence till 1966, you know, but still after 1966, there was this real kind of weird color thing going down in Barbados. It's only really now when you go to Barbados, you go, yeah, Barbados is black. And it's proud of it, you know, which is fantastic.
So that's where the sounds come from, brother. I get it. I'm getting it because the more I uncover with all of you guys, the more the ethnicity comes through the music, because I've always wondered, you know, you're hearing these tracks and you're going, that's interesting. It's not English, you know, and it's not an English sound, but it's English in its own saying because you're English, but yet the bloodline goes to the Caribbean. And it's
the bloodline goes to the Caribbean. And it's funny, if you actually see a picture of my mother, I haven't got one here at the moment, but she's got this incredibly beautiful feature, and she's very, very dark. And it's almost, I would say, Igbo, you know, from Nigeria or something like that. She has that look, youthful look about her. So in terms of what's running through my veins, it's not only would you probably have the Bajan blood, but there's probably, you know, there's a lot of African going through there as well. Yeah.
Come on now. Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Of course there is. I could hear it in the music when you make the music. It has the influences of a black sound.
Yeah.
The chord progressions make you go, yes. Like, do you just hear it? You know, it's you. You know, everyone has this. All right, so moving forward, grade school. Okay, so you're doing this, you're record collecting. Do you have any musical training to speak of?
None.
Zero.
My mum bought me a drum kit when I think I was about, I'm trying to think now. It was quite late. I think probably about, I was 18, 19. She bought me a drum kit. And I would take it downstairs to where we were living. There was like a community hall. And I had a friend of mine at the time, Gary, and we used to be like, pretend we was in a reggae band. He would play guitar and I would play the drums. Not very well. And then I discovered the Mattel Drum Machine. Which was kind of a very early drum machine. And I'm like, oh. So I said to Mum, can I sell the drum kit and get the drum machine? And she said, yeah, you can do that. So I got the drum machine and it kind of inspired me more to get into dance music.
Can I ask you a question? Is that the Mattel toy company we're talking about?
Yeah.
Was that a bluish color with yellow things on or something like that? Do you?
It had really big pads, yes, you know.
Like it cannot be what I think this thing is, right?
I rigged up my stereo. I rigged up the drum machine to the stereo, and I was just recording me just bashing beats out. Yeah. But it's really funny. You know, I used to practice my Mattel drum machine to Gil Scott Heron records because I was a huge fan of Gil Scott Heron and Brian Jackson.
No way, dude.
So all the old tunes, you know, I'd be listening to, you know, all their old albums on Arista and that was my thing. You know, I'd just be practicing away to their stuff. So if anything, if people say to me now, what do you play? I always say I play percussion, which is pretty true, really, you know, but on a computer.
you manipulate.
Yeah, I mean, I manipulate. I mean, I use Machine, MPC, SP1200, you know.
Oh, let's go back. So we're at Mattel. We are at Mattel level, and you're breaking down. Scott Heron and his partner are your teachers. That's some good teaching.
That was my thing. Yeah, that was my thing. I used to believe I was in the Midnight Band, which was
the guy in the band. The fifth guy.
I thought I was in the band. Yeah, I'm sure I must have walked around and told a few lies. Yeah, I'm in the Midnight Band with, you know, Gil Scott Heron and Brian Jackson. I wasn't at all.
You were, phonetically, but realistically, another thing. So, because you know, I'm just going to laugh a little bit. Back in the day, I remember everybody had these organs in their house.
Yes.
And next to the organ, they had the rhythm machine.
Yes.
You remember the rhythm machine? And the rhythm machine would have bossa nova.
Yeah.
Disco.
Samba.
Yeah. Samba.
Yeah.
All these different, and I remember going to people's houses and just listening to the rhythm machine. They were whack. If you listen to them now, it's whack, but it was cutting edge at that time.
It was. Well, it's very interesting you say that, Lenny, because my dad's side of the family were all musical, and they had a band. They had a band called the Reflections, and all my cousins, my uncles, everyone was in this band. And when I was young, my mum and dad used to take me to go and see them live. And they would be doing like cover versions of old rock and roll songs, you know, like Buddy Holly and Roy Orbison and all these characters, you know, they would they'll be playing all the cover versions, and it was fascinating. And they got onto national television because there was a program called Opportunity Knocks, which was presented by a Canadian guy called Huey Green. And yeah, all my family got on there, but they didn't win the final. They didn't win the final, which is a real shame. But no, but they were a big influence on me, especially my cousin Jonathan. Oh, sorry, leaning the wrong way there. My cousin Jonathan.
Where you are, stay centered. Okay?
Yeah, my cousin Jonathan. He's a incredible guitarist. But he was doing a little bit before lockdown. He was backing people like, you know, Cliff Richard on their live tours, etc. Yeah, it's amazing. He's like Carlos Santana. He's incredible. Yeah.
So you do have a lot of things around, a lot of people around you that are music, have musicality written all over them. They're doing it, and you don't even. Yeah. You have to take like a bird's eye look at the whole situation. You would say, man, you do have a lot of people that were using you to go that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
Mind you, remember, you didn't have social media. You had 4 channels, 2 radio stations. What the hell else were we doing?
Going out.
We wanted to do music. This is a hot commodity to be part of the music thing. It was like, yo, music is the way forward, right?
Yes, it was. And you know, when I used to live in an area just outside of central London called Harrow. Now, Harrow was a very unique place because it had a lot of clubs, like clubs you can go out. It had a place called the Co-op Disco, which is my first disco I ever went to.
What year was that, brother?
I probably would have been 16, so that would have been, I'm just trying to think now, 1973, probably not 1973, 1978, 1977, 78. Sorry, I'm getting confused. So I used to go there, and it was above a funeral parlour. It's disco.
So basically, the people are dying to meet you. Is this what this was the motto? The disco. People are dying to meet.
But we used to. But the Co-op Disco was so influential because the guy that ran it, well, the guy that had the sound system in there was a white guy, and the sound system was, funny enough, called Channel One. Now, whether he had named it after a reggae label, I don't know. Probably did. Because there was a reggae label called Channel One as well, but you know, he used to play some crazy music in there. Like one minute you'd be dancing to Elton John, Philadelphia Freedom, and then the next thing you'd be dropping, I don't know, some beautiful soul music, bit of reggae, but you'd get lots of disco. So you'd hear things like, for the first time, you know, Brass Construction. And then Mass Production, Welcome to Our World. All these tunes, we were all these tunes we were beginning to hear there for the first time, you know. And he was buying those. He was buying those records on 7-inch and playing them, you know, and playing them in the club.
Ash, was he also grabbing the microphone in between, you know, doing the segues like all the English guys do?
Absolutely.
Just as non-mixing, mate. We're loving you. Come on, get your cursing on the dance floor, right? Because Tony Prince did it too. He told me that as well.
Tony Prince.
Tony, give us a reenactment. What would have been like in 1976 for you? He did it. Like,
well, my wife Jo still does it because, you know, when she's comes from the whole Northern Soul scene.
Oh, Jo rocks it. She goes and she gets up on the mic and starts doing it.
Yeah. So she's been doing that since 76, I think.
Ooh, Jo.
Over 40 years.
Boy,
it's crazy.
Jesus.
But I had I had a lot of lovely things that happened in Harrow. I mean, we had some incredible clubs, and all the main DJs would come to Harrow. People like Chris Hill, Robbie Vincent, Greg Edwards, and there was a very famous record shop called the Rayners Lane Record and Disco Centre. And if you wanted to go and get your American imports, that's the place you went to.
Made your way there, right?
Yes. And then at the age of 16, my dad bought me my first ever DJ console, mobile DJ console, so I could start doing parties.
Was it the Citronic system? What was it? What was that?
Yes, it was. It was a Citronic. Oh, my God.
It's Michael Gray, the same thing. He had the same setup. I think it was Citronic. And I went, what was this? Like pay one price and get the kit. Yeah.
It was belt drive. It was a belt drive Citronic.
Lights.
Yeah, and you had the lights, right? The lights, you didn't have to plug in the lights. You just put the lights on top of the speakers and the vibration would make the lights flash. You never seen anything like it.
All you needed, mate, was your tuxedo and bow tie. And
I never wore a tuxedo and bow tie, but I used to dress very smart when I first, started doing my first gigs. Definitely. Yeah. But we had that, and then we had a club as well called the St. Gabriel's Youth Club. That was on a Sunday. And I met a lot of really cool people there. A lot of people that started to go into London, to the dance clubs, etc. So it was a real kind of learning curve, I think. From when we used to go to St. Gabriel's Youth Club, we had, fun enough, for St. Gabriel's Youth Club, one of the guys that used to run it was the UK president of the Earth, Wind and Fire fan club. And his name was Brian.
Brian from the Earth, Wind and Fire fan club at
the
youths.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a lot of real cool black music to listen to. I when I was growing up in Harrow, it's where I met one of the original members of the Black Science Orchestra, which was Rob Mello. He was living in Harrow at the time because I was going out with his sister. So yeah. So it was. So we had that early connection going on anyway, And I think later on, when you think about it,
before you go there, if you were going out in '78, what was your gear? What kind of gear were you wearing? Like, were you wearing Fiorucci like they were wearing?
Yeah, well, we had that. We had like Fiorucci jeans. We had cap sleeve T-shirts, leg warmers, which is like what you'd wear over your jeans.
Yep.
I mean, we had Carpenter jeans.
Carpenter jeans were big, right?
Yeah, plastic sandals. Chelsea kind of suede, like they're called Chelsea boots, but they were like a suede boot. We had roller skates. We had everything going on, man. We had so much like crazy gear going on. We had like fringed Native American jackets. That was a big thing. Everyone wanted one of them. We were rocking it. We were rocking it, man.
Properly, right?
Yeah, but there was a huge roller disco as well at the Harrow Leisure Centre. So we always used to go to the roller disco and do our thing, just skating around to like Crown Heights Affair and all that stuff, man. Loved it. Slave were huge. Such a big band.
Moving forward now, you got your Centronic setup and you think you're the man. And you're working your way up the ladder, because we all thought that when we got our shit. You know how it is. It's like, yo, I got my kit. And what happens? Take us on that trip. Go ahead.
Well, it's really funny because, like I said, growing up in Harrow, you had the two worlds we were operating in. Now, one of them was being a soul boy, okay? And a soul boy is obviously a man that loves his soul music, goes out to the clubs, etc. But on the other hand, you had to be into your reggae as well. And that was a big thing in Harrow as well. So the whole reggae thing, you had the sound systems, which was a big part of black music culture in the UK. You know, at the time when we were growing up, sound systems were the bomb. That's what you had to do. So, you know, your thing really you wanted to do was to get in on a sound system. And, you know, I became what they called a box boy. Now, a box boy is someone that...
I've heard that. What's a box boy?
You carrying the speakers. That's your thing. So, you know, like the huge speakers that the sound systems had. You had the big 18-inch speakers, you know, and they were huge. These things were made out of wardrobes, you know. So our job was to carry those boxes into the dance halls.
Right.
And help, you know, we'd help set up. And, you know, whole reason you became a box boy half the time was that you could get into the dance for free.
Well, what a sweat that was, huh?
Yeah, an absolute sweat. So I became a bit of a follower and a box boy for a sound system from Wembley, which was just outside of Harrow. They were called Stateside. And they